He knows best, but many people say that he never got married. And there are other scholars who said they never got married. Some of that is true, but many people they make a mistake. And they think that just because he never got married, he never doesn't mean that. You understand? There's a difference. He was never with a woman, he was celibate, he took vows of celibacy, versus he never formally got married. Doesn't mean that he didn't have mulk al-yamin, Imam Ahmed, etc., 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 right? And that also supports the theory that I'm trying to explain. Many people, they think, oh, if you don't get married, halal is halal, whether it's this or that. You get it? And it's not just restricted to one thing. You understand this? And Allah surely knows best. Father Hamza.
So what if there's a masjid right in front of you, but they pray out like at 6 o'clock when the house prayer is usually at 5, and there's like masjids like around you, but they're pretty far. What do you do in that situation?
You have several options. You can pray with them at their time, follow them. Making Salat al-Asr a little later on in the daytime isn't something which is made up. It's not an innovation. It's a valid scholastic debate. And different scholars hold that view. From the most famous of them is the Hanafi madhab, the Hanafi ulama, is that the proper time, the best time, the real time, the right time for Asr is later on. That's an argument. They have proofs and evidences for that. Whether it's strongest or not, whether you agree or disagree, but it's actual what? Like I said about, it's a graduate thing, right? This jahil person what? There's no point in the argument, no place. The ulama, they differed over a thing with proofs and evidences. It's a valid discussion. And if you follow them in that, khayran. As far as if you believe that it's haram to delay Asr unnecessarily, then that's a different story. If you have to pray at home, you pray at home and then you go to the masjid, you make nafil with them. Make your intention of the sunnah, make 4 rak'ah sunnah. But if you went there and you prayed Asr in the congregation and they were Hanafis, khayran. It isn't something which is made up out of thin air. It's an argument. Wallahu alam.
If you have say like a second wife in a different country and you ask her to give up some of her rights, like time, can you do something similar with the children that you have with her?
Okay, if a man has a wife in another country, can you ask her to give up certain rights, time, and can you do the same with children? Meaning like not seeing your children as often? Right. What's important is, this is a very important question, and a deep argument, and that is with regards to unorthodox or non-conventional marriage. Some people call it long-distance marriage, some people call it stringless marriage, wireless marriage, Bluetooth marriage. This is a reality, tayyib, and misyar, etc., etc. What the name doesn't matter. In which there's a man and a woman married in an unconventional, unorthodox situation. He doesn't come home from the farm or the factory, honey, I'm home, I'm tired. She's running his bath water, the food is on the plate with the iron pot, the hearth. Nah, you understand? Let me take your boots. Traditional husband and wife type of thing. Rather, I live here, I work here, I travel here, I can't come here, I choose not to come here, etc., etc., etc. Is that type of marriage valid? And of course, common sense is going to tell you is that if the woman can't come to your country or the man can't go to your city, it's not going to be honey on my home every single day. All right? So is that type of nikah lawful? And can a person, a man or a woman, relinquish some of their basic, necessary, inalienable rights? And most people, when they talk about nikah and misyar, for it or against it, they only talk about it from a prejudice, biased point of view. And they only talk about the benefit and the harm of it for a woman. Oh, that's not right. You can't do that. You just married her just to sleep with her. You're not doing this. They only look at it from the benefit of, but they don't look at it from the opposite side as well. Is that a man is losing things, what? As well. He's agreeing to things as well. It's a difficulty, so on and so forth as well. So it goes both what? It goes both ways, let alone the benefit for the woman. Not that the man says, listen, I'm not bringing you to America. Or I'm not bringing you to New York. I want you to stay in Chicago. I want you to stay down south. I'll see you, so on and so forth. But the woman says, I live with my grandmother. My grandmother is ill. I have to take care of her. When we get married, please do not ask me to leave Chicago. Please don't ask me. Don't call me disobedient. You're agreeing. You stay on the East Coast. I'm in the Midwest. We'll see each other, so on and so forth. But I cannot leave my grandmother. And quite frankly, she says, I don't want to leave Chicago. I'd rather stay here. So it's not just a man is getting everything and a woman is losing out on it being oppressed. And most people, when they talk about nikah al-misyar, including people who give fatwa and scholars, they only discuss it from half of its two sides. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? They only look at it as an aspect of the woman's losing, the woman's being oppressed, the man is exploiting the woman. And that is not what? Always the case. Rather, oftentimes, the woman is in need of the misyar. Because of her situation. Whether she's older, divorced, whatever the situation is. I don't have the ability to be a honey, I'm home housewife. Please don't request that from me, so on and so forth. So a man relinquishes rights and a woman can also? In brief, the modern day scholars, they have different views on this. Me personally, from my studies, my humble studies, which they are humble, I would say is that it's lawful. As long as the Muslims are clear and upfront about what they're getting into. And they have to be mature and they have to be patient. If children are involved, then of course the situation is more complex. But the same applies. Just because you have children doesn't mean you're going to be there every day. I know men, they don't have second wives, one wife. But work requires for them to travel. I'm in the Navy. Right? I'm in the Army. I'm an athlete. I'm a truck driver. I'm a this, I'm a that. To put food on the table, to make sure you have your Pampers, your underwear, your shoes, your socks, your toys. I'm working like a dog. And that requires me to leave and go and be gone 2-3 weeks, whatever, out of the year, out of the month, etc. It's very, very common. And in most cases, the more important a man is, and the more of a need there is at his occupation or career, the more he's going to be out in a way. Military wives. You ever heard of this? They have a community of women that get together when they're lonely, when it is, because my husband was going to be going for 4 months. He's on a submarine. He's in Japan at this base. We won't see him for 3 months straight. So unorthodox timetables, it doesn't just have to be because of a second wife or misyar. You get the point? And from that is one's children. What's important is, if that is the case, make sure that you try to spend as much quality time with your children when you can. And make sure that the reason why you're away is a good reason, a valid reason. And try your best to fulfill and uphold your end of the agreement. And if something has to change, you state accordingly. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Ahmed.
So, in regards to having 4 witnesses be present when accusing your wife of cheating on you, do they have to actually catch her in the act?
You have to see the act, yes. It has to be clear, direct in the act. It can't be something vague. We saw them kissing. We saw them hugging. We saw them undressed. La. It has to be in the actual act. There's wisdom's in that. And once that door is opened up, people accusing people of infidelity, the whole entire thing will just crack and crumble. No marriage would last. Right?
Another question. So what if the wife admits to cheating on you without the 4 witnesses? How would you go about doing things then?
If the wife admits to it, and she admits to that haram act, then obviously you got to make your choice. Forgive her or... La, ma fi had, ya akhi. There's no had. Islam is a peaceful what? Peaceful religion, brother. We give dawah with pamphlets. That's how we spread the deen in 2022, right? What's important is, and that's a discussion in itself. It's real life situation, Ahmed. You might find a man, he'll accept his wife cheated on him and he forgives her. She may tawbah, I love you, we stay together. It's possible. You may say no, a person may say no, but everyone isn't what? Isn't like that. She makes tawbah from that. She repents. Khalas. As far as if she's a continual or perpetual chronic zaniya, then that's a different story. Wallahu alam. Fadl, Sharia.
How does a person give da'wah to his family who are not used to abstaining from some prohibited acts? It may be out of their, day-to-day life, such as music, for example. So,
Giving dawah to family members who aren't used to having dawah given to them.
yeah.
Be gentle. Be easy, be kind, and have compassion for them. Feel sorry for them. Don't look at them like you're better than them, let alone say things like that. Extend yourself as a son, as a brother, as a friend. I want good for you. Allah has allowed me to taste this sweetness. I want you to taste it too. Appeal to them like that. And, be mindful. Try to pick the right time, the right place to advise them. And that's it. Be patient. 3 principles Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah mentioned with regards to enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, and they can be applied to give nasiha too, and that is knowledge, gentleness, and patience. Knowledge of what's halal and haram, gentleness while you're doing it, don't write it down in bed, memorize it. And then patience, give them time to accept and to listen. Al-ilmu wal-rifq wal-sabr. Wallahu a'lam. Fadl Abdul Raqib.
Off of the question Ahmed had, what if it's
Ahmed will ask.
Ahmed asked, that he asked before,
Fadl.
of what if you have it on video?
Ish?
What if you have,
What if you have it on video? Try it.
what is the place that in the Islamic court?
Well, that's going to go back to the Qadi. That's going to go back to the discernment and the discretion of the Qadi, of the Islamic judge. But the general rule is that arba'atu shuhada, 4 witnesses. Now, and obviously we live in a time in which there are cameras everywhere. But a camera is not the same as a witness. Things can be done, things can be missed in a camera. You may think it's a person in a camera in the footage, but it actually isn't. It's been tampered with. That's not the same as 4 trustworthy Muslims. It's a huge difference. But for argument's sake, forensics, does this child belong to this father, DNA test, etc., that's going to go back to the ijtihad of the Qadi. But in general, the rules remain as they are. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Father Khalid.
With regards to the same topic, what if someone is accused of doing something, and you have 4 witnesses, but the 4 witnesses are testifying with different times? I saw her doing it this time, or I saw it.
Got to be 4 witnesses seeing the act. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. There's so many different things. One person saw at a different time, but it was 3 people missing. He could be lying, he could be mistaken, etc. Fadl.
A woman who is she's past her iddah, but if she is pregnant, is she allowed to remarry during pregnancy?
Is a woman allowed to remarry during pregnancy? No. If she's pregnant, that is her iddah. Hatta yada'na hamlahunna. That is the iddah. The iddah is going to be pregnancy. Now there may be some times in which there's a difference of which of the 2 iddahs takes precedence. The widow, 4 months, 10 days, or the haml, the delivery. But in general, a pregnant woman's iddah is a pregnancy. There is no 3 menstruation. There is no 1 haydah, because in most cases a pregnant woman does not menstruate. And if she does bleed, then it's not actual normal menstruation. And the scholars are different on that as well. Al-Muhim, that her iddah is a pregnancy. And then after she delivers the child, she has to go through her hardening fast, her postnatal bleeding, 40 days, 30 days. Then after that, she can remarry. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Khair inshallah. Fadal akhi.
Shaz, what is the dalil that majority of scholars use to say that you guys recommend it, or Allah also says what MQ he commands?
As we explained, from the usul, min al-qawa'id al-usuliyah, is that when there's takhyir or ta'lil, then that strips it from its wujub. When you wake up, wash your hands before you place your hands in your water, because you don't know where your hands, batat yaduhu, you don't know where your hands slept. So is it obligatory to wash your hands 3 times before you place it into your basin or your bucket of water, whatever you're using for wudu? Those who say that it is not obligatory, even though there's an amr, فَلْيَغْسِلْ فَلْ. They say, النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم علّل بِعِلَّةٍ مَعْقُولَةٍ. The Prophet ﷺ, he gave a tangible reason why you should wash your hands, proving that it isn't just a spiritual command. So there are different usul that the scholars of Islam use with regards to that which is called sawariful wujub. Sawariful amri anil wujub. Things that take the amr from its default, which is wujub. And from that is takhir or ta'lil. And there are other texts that they use as well, proving that it's only recommended. But the qaida usuliyya is important to understand, because that allows you to understand 100 different fiqh issues and why sababul khilaf. Huh? Wallahu ta'ala alam. Khair, inshallah. See when we have a line.
SC Jamaica Queens, New York City. What days and times are your New York City classes? Also, what does it do with the masjid upstairs?
Classes are normally on Wednesday night after Salat al-Maghrib. We changed them to after Salat al-Isha because of the time, fall coming. Obviously tonight is Thursday, last week was Thursday. There were reasons why we had to switch here at the masjid, reasons. But it's normally on Wednesday. Masjid, Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, or commonly known as Masjid on the Van Wyck, or Masjid 109, here in South Ozone / Jamaica, Queens. Wallahu alam.
Initials. SC Washington DC. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Can you point me towards a basic book which I may rely upon regarding knowledge of hadith and other sciences of the Sharia?
Fiqh Barakallah. As we have explained, you have to go back to the library, the playlist. There's several different small beginners books that we have explained how to use and how to benefit from with regards to hadith science. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Initials. DH Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What's the ruling on speed dating events amongst Muslim men and women for marriage?
Speed dating? I don't know what that is. If you can explain, but I don't know what speed dating is.
Matrimonial events.
It's like a dinner, and everyone takes turns meeting each other. So like a man and a woman, they talk, and then one.
Like a getting married conference.
Yeah.
A matchmaking type conference.
Yeah.
As long as it's lawful, it's lawful. As long as nothing is done that's haram, then it's haram. The glass is not the most important thing. The most important thing is what's inside of the glass. So if there's khalwa, if it's this, another kada, if there's unlawful things involved, then it's unlawful. And if it's done according to the sunnah, then it's nothing but a new modern way of doing it, which is not prohibited. And oftentimes there's a need in that. Just like the unconventional marriages, in which the system is pure, but the people who abide by the system have become impure. They don't marry off their daughters. They make a hardship for the sons. They prevent the people from getting married after you finish school, after you have a boat, a yacht, a house, a this, a that. Then perhaps you can marry my daughter, etc., etc. This is mushkila. Long time.
Initials. IA Atlanta, Georgia. Is it allowed to work with dogs as a daycare dog attendant?
A daycare dog attendant, you should avoid that. Whereas you're directly supporting people and keeping dogs as pets. Wallahu alam.
Initials. AK Columbus, Ohio. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. I've been married to my wife for 8 months now, and we have not consummated because she experiences much pain. I love her. What should I do?
You've been married to your wife for 8 months. You have not consummated the marriage because of much pain. What should you do? Talk to a specialist, inshallah ta'ala. Whether it's a clinical specialist, a herbalist, someone who's old, experienced, that you trust, sit down and you talk with them. Okay? What's the problem? What's the pain? What's the issue? Okay? Something you're doing wrong, something you're not doing, something you can eat, something you can drink, something you can use. All right? And I would say at the end of the day is that if the woman is scared or afraid or she's experiencing a pain, whether we like it or not, pain is a necessary part of life. Pain and life are inseparable. Pregnancy, childbirth, delivery. You ever been in a delivery room with a woman delivering a baby? Everything about it is based off of what? From beginning till end. After she delivers the baby, she's in pain. This surgery, this, that, she's sore, she's hurt. Pain is a part of life. But just like there's pain, there's also joy. So sometimes you have to experience pain to get to joy. All right? And my last piece of advice is, of course, for the man to do his job properly, gentleness, etc. But you're not the first woman to lose your virginity. You're not the first woman to experience pain or discomfort or fear or anxiety. Just think of a million women before you all had to what? Do the same thing. Your mother that gave birth to you had to what? Well, how could I? You got to think out of the, it's just me and my pain is bigger than that. Wallahu alam.
This was Schenectady, New York. Is there a problem with me being in your classes?
A problem? There's no problem for anybody to be in my class. The class is public. The class is open for anybody. As long as the person has the proper etiquette, your intentions between you and Allah, that's between you and your Lord. Why are you studying? As far as that, if you have the proper etiquette, you don't stop nobody from being in our classes. Huh? Wallahu alam.
This was AK St. Louis, Missouri. Assalamu alaikum. If one conceals certain information from people, friends, and family included, due to fear of the evil eye, does that mean they lack trust in Allah, or is that considered a precaution?
It's a balance. Not telling people about everything or about certain things because you're afraid of the ayn has to be balanced. Al-akhdhu bis-sabab, right? Versus being paranoid. And versus giving the eye more than what Allah has given it. There's no way that you're going to be totally free from someone's eye. Somebody can look at you with or without the special thing that you have. It can afflict you no matter what. So put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Protect yourself. Have a balance. And of course, there's certain brothers that I know that may be sitting in front of me. I would never show them certain things because their eyes are known to be what? Powerful. I'll say that. Evil's a strong word. But for sure, they have strong eyes. Allah musta'an.
MA, Oakland, CA. How do we get our husbands to understand he's making us unhappy and by treating us badly and hurt?
How to do what?
Get our husband to understand he's making us unhappy by treating us badly and hurting our.
This is our last question tonight. How does a woman tell her husband that he's treating her badly and he's hurting her, so on and so forth? Well, there's two ways of doing it. One way of doing it is being blunt and telling them up front. And another way of doing it is depending on the relationship that you have with your husband. How do you guys communicate? What is your language? How do you guys talk about things? Someone else saying it to him, sending him a message without words, etc. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam mubarak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.